is the Vintage RPG Podcast, your source for the best in classic and contemporary RPGs. With your hosts, Hambone and Stu.
Welcome to Vintage RPG Podcast, coming at you again from the clubhouse, hidden somewhere in the swamps of New Jersey. I'm John Hambone McGuire, and with me, as always, is the founder and publisher of Unwinnable. And today we have a very special guest. Now, dear listener, normally we don't bring a creator on more than once in a year. Genuinely, I thought the last time we talked to my friend Brian was last year, but when you do 300 plus episodes, who's to say what time is anymore, other than a flat circle? However, Brian Colin is an absolutely prolific creator and a really positive force in the TTRPG hobby. And I thought with everything that's been going on this year, the hobby as a whole has just been getting its ass kicked as of late. So I wanted to bring on a fellow creator to talk a little bit more about, you know, kind of the woes and maybe the better ways forward and things that we could consider for creators in the hobby. And also what they've got going on right now with their company, Creature Curation. So without further ado, Brian Colin. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing awesome. It's so good to get to hang out with you and Stu. You know, it doesn't happen enough times, and I didn't even realize it had been in this year either, just because time and space, I mean, they are like, things are constantly moving all the time.
Yeah. It's still no teleportation or flying cars. But then again, as I think of self-driving cars on the ground, maybe the flying ones, not such
Definitely
a great
not.
idea.
No,
definitely
it's just
not.
further to fall.
Helicopters crash a lot.
Yeah. Oh man. So, you know, you got a lot of cool and interesting things happening. We had you on earlier this year to talk about Squirmish.
Yes.
You launching battle binders, which are essentially A5 trapper keepers for zines.
Legally distinctly different.
Oh, you want me to take that back and have Alex edit that, or?
No, I think it's
Okay.
fine, you know?
Yeah, they are allegedly like trapper keepers. And, you know, right now you've kind of made a cool pivot because with everything that's been going on now, unless you've been living under a rock and maybe it's your first day in the hobby, a lot of people print their zines and their books and their everything over in China.
Yes.
We've had a roller coaster of a year thus far, and we're recording this currently in October of 2025, but we had a roller coaster of a year with the tariffs, and now it's hit a point where, you know, I'm sure that you still are going to be reliant on printing some things overseas, but you've actually taken a step further and opened up your own print shop for your company in your home.
Yes. And part of that is like, yeah, I'm still going to be doing some manufacturing overseas, but when all of the initial wave of tariffs were hitting and the uncertainty and how it was changing almost on a daily or weekly basis, the uncertainty of it really started to freak me out because, you know, anybody that's a forever GM usually has a little bit of control issues, right? And I publishing my own stuff and all that stuff, I want to have as much control as possible. And not knowing what the tariffs were going to be like, I decided I needed to think of other ways to solve things. I looked at, because I love hardcover books. I love how the look of my previous Vast Grimm books look on the shelves, how they feel in my hands. But I also know zines can be printed in the US and they can be printed quickly, and the minimums are not terrible, but the per unit cost goes up significantly as you drop down lower and lower. So I started looking around at different companies that sell digital printers, because previous to getting into the tabletop scene, I was a graphic designer. I had my own graphic design company for a decade. I worked at a graphic design studio before that for 10 years. And then before that, I worked at a print shop in the pre-press department. So I have a background in all of this. So it's not something like I'm just going to go and do something completely out of my skill set and try and take on something very foreign to me. And then when I started looking around and I started pricing it out and I started seeing the capabilities, digital printing has come so far in the past 10, 20 years that I was able to find a machine that's, 16 and a half feet long, but I send a file to it as long as I have everything set up right, as long as I have the paper cut to the size that I need it to be before it gets trimmed. It prints, it folds, it staples, it cuts, and it spits out a finished zine. And like, if I can have something that sits behind me and I turn around and I'm working on stuff on my computer or sculpting stuff or writing, and it's just spitting out the books that I'm making, if I can do everything but the editing and then even ship it to people, it's like it satisfies that super controlling itch that I seem to have.
Does it do that?
Yes, it does that.
Does it? Is it a demon?
Yes, it is. I have sold. I signed in blood, but it's worth it, right? No, like I'm leasing this machine. This was I bought it from a company that's been around since the early 70s. They service and lease machines like this. It's usually to like offices, right? Or like colleges or like things like that. And each component that's added on just adds extra functionality and makes it extra long. So this was their floor model. So they wanted the newest machine that's like 3.5 years newer. So they were willing to part with it at a kind of sweet deal, knowing that it's been their floor model. And I'm totally okay with that because in the service agreement, I've had issues initially setting it up, getting used to knowing how the machine works and being familiar with it. I'd call in a service call, they'd be here the next day.
Wow.
Covers all the toner. It covers the service. The only thing it doesn't cover is the staples, the paper, and then I get charged a per color print charge and a per black and white print charge every month.
Like to sort of offset the toner charge?
Yes, and the service, their maintenance fees, basically.
Oh, okay.
See, like, I think that's like super cool, for me and for a lot of people who are older coming up in the hobby. There was a print it yourself, fold it yourself, staple it yourself,
Yep.
hand cut it yourself if you had to. That's why, like, digest size 8.5 by 5.5 is kind of the perfect size, because just a piece of paper folded over.
Right.
But like, I think there's a lot to be said, especially for creators in the hobby. The more that you know about what you do, the better your overall experience is, and the better you're going to be able to communicate it, I think, to other people. I was actually having breakfast with a buddy of mine yesterday, and he reminded me that, you don't always have to maybe get a job at a Staples back in the day to print flyers for your band, but it didn't hurt. Recently, I've taught myself how to do layout work. Now, I'm not nowhere near your level. I'm nowhere near a lot of people's levels. But
all it does is take time and repetition,
But that's the thing. But now that I know how to do it, I'm better able to communicate with the people who I pay to do the layout work for my books, because I'm not just like, do that thing. I don't know, maybe. Now I'm just like, oh, hey, this, and I could size things out. I can do a little bit more legwork, which has, to me, yielded a much better results. How do you see that kind of working in the hobby as is now? Because, you are seeing a lot of people, unfortunately, start to fold up their businesses and starting to consolidate their businesses down to a real skeleton crew, because just with the state of everything now, they can't afford to keep up. Because the profitability of books, and for those, we're going to give you a little inside baseball here, dear listener. Like, there at times could be a decent profitability margin on books.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
It's just getting eaten alive.
Well, and the profitability, especially when manufacturing overseas, usually comes in when you're ordering what you would foresee selling in the next 2.5 years through conventions, through stores, through distribution, or however you're able to get it out there, because you have to get your minimum quantity up to get the per unit cost down. So even though you may get a book that ends up costing you $3 and selling it for $25, if you have 2,000 extra copies and you're having a hard time moving those, that doesn't really make the profit there until you've actually sold through and covered the cost of manufacturing.
What is leasing the printing press doing to your cost per unit?
So roughly at not including, time and labor, just pure manufacturing costs.
Right.
It is about between $1.77 to $2 a unit.
Well, that's not so bad.
No, it's not at all. Basically, the way I've made it work in my head was I went and I priced out how many zines I foresaw myself doing at MixM in a year if I printed all of my books that way instead of going hardcover. And I basically broke even based on my calculations as to the actual numbers that I'd run. And instead of just breaking even, now, like, I had 56 games run at Gen Con this year for Vast Grimm. That 56 times 6, that's a lot of butts and seats, right? You'd get that, and next year you up the price $2 per seat. And the adventure that they're playing, they get an exclusive cover because I can print one, I can print five, I can print 50 of anything because I have the printer, and they get something that's unique to them and to their experience that they can take home with them. I think that is where, for me, where a lot of the value comes in.
It's also that boutiqueness.
Right.
Because yes, I mean, granted, it's being made on a machine, but like, you know, when you are creating a book and you're trying to conceptualize, okay, I would like to do an extra cover, I'd like to do something different, like the numbers just keep going up to a point where it's hard to justify being able to still make cool. And we don't mean exclusive in the way that in a gatekeepy way. We mean it like, hey, like this is like something that we made that's just very specific that like a certain like level of fans going to be like really excited about, you know, like that have been around for a while that are like, oh my God, like this, I've been wanting something like this, but like it's harder to kind of bring that stuff out. Like, you know, Stu and I always talk about toys and how like, you know, with the molds of toys, like, well, it's kind of just based on a mold of a mold, you know,
Right. Absolutely.
Unlike, you know, when we talk about the LJN figures, right, where everyone had its own unique mold. But I think that is something that you can't always do. And something that, like, you know, you look at Daddy Hasbro isn't even doing that, you know, because of profitability. But like being able to kind of bring that sort of unique DIY-ness back to what you're doing, I think is kind of cool, and having control over it. Also, because you are a designer, you're saving some time with, you got to be saving time with, like, instead of sending it out to another printing house and then the back and forth and like, oh, this doesn't line up, this you need more bleed, you need more this and that, like you can just
definitely. Like my current Kickstarter has 7 zines in it, the one that's live right now. And I have it slated for a February release. But once I get everything done and once it's all edited and it's ready to go, all I have to do is start printing it. And like, I'm hoping that by 2026, I do quarterly Kickstarters that have multiple zines, something that I can have in the can, and like where I do all the work ahead of time. You run the Kickstarter, you close it out, you have the 2-week window in between, and then 2 weeks later start shipping them out. And because there is no time in between, if I'm in control of that, I can do something that I think very few other people would be able to do, and hopefully give such a good experience to people that they want to come back and keep getting the weird stuff I'm making.
How long does it take to print a zine?
I was able to do a minute and 45 seconds.
Damn.
Assuming no like paper jams and stuff. So like when I've printed Grim Solitude, which are the solo rules, and I've printed Jaws of Madness, which is an adventure, and I was doing about 350 a day.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yep.
Are you sure it's not like some sort of creature that's gonna like eat you in the night after it's like lulled you into a sense of security?
One day you guys are going to try and reach out to me and be like, hey, Brian, can you print one of our zines for me? And you won't hear back. I will just sunken into the abyss.
Just leave snacks out for the goblins.
Right, that's right.
Well, I mean, speaking of printing zines, like, you know, it's something that we talked about, which is another reason I wanted you to kind of come and mention this. Like, in 2026, you're going to start taking on other creators to print stuff for them.
Yes.
You're going to be essentially becoming your own print house.
To a degree. Like, yes. So there's certain things, like there's other companies out there. There's restrictions in my capabilities, only because I don't want to fully turn into a printing business. There's things like a lot of laminates and things on covers that you can get at other places. If that's what you really need and that's what you want, I won't be able to do it. And I'll be completely upfront with that, because that's a separate process.
Yeah.
Like if you want the smooth touch laminate on your cover, which is something I love, but I just had to be like, you know what? I don't love it enough to not be able to do it. So that's a separate process where you'd need to do that, print it on another machine, then feed that cover into my current printer. And I just don't have that. So I'd be like, these are the paper types that I can get and run comfortably, and they run well through it. Here's the size range that I can go. Here's the page count range that I can go. If you want to do it, I'd love to. I'd love to bring it to a show for you. I'd love to. If not, I'll hand deliver it, or I'll mail it, or whatever works based on where we are. And one thing that you would get through me that you wouldn't get through someone else is that I play all these games. So I'm going to look for things as it's coming off the printer, especially with the first couple, and be like, oh, you know what? If you did this a little bit differently, it would make it sing so much better.
And see, that's the cool thing. That's where we talk about like not being gatekeepery. Like, part of the reason why I wanted to talk to you about this today was especially in a year where we just got dumped on creative for all the creatives out there. Remember, everybody, there's other ways you could figure it out. Like, the DIY spirit, I think now more than ever is so important. And it's also very important to kind of uplift other creators and like cards on the table, share all your secrets.
Absolutely. Yeah. Knowledge only helps everybody out.
Yeah. And this is the kind of thing where like, I personally, and again, I don't have any scientific proof of this, I'm not exactly it's not Mensa over here, Is it Mensa?
Yeah, it's Mensa.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure I gave the right, because that could be completely horrible. But yeah, I think now it's kind of a cool time. I mean, we've come very far in the last 5 years, especially with zine culture and with, to the point where it's hard to even call things zines anymore, I think. Because most things are very like, if
high production value.
Yeah. But I think it might be cool to bring it back down. I think a lot of people who maybe now knowing everything that's going on might be feeling apprehensive about it. I don't think there's ever been a better time to learn how to do it yourself and figure out some cool stuff, getting back to that raw punk rock feel of making the things that we make, because there is such a rewarding feeling and a true goodness in your heart that you're going to feel by completing a cool project and getting it out to people. So, as much as, we're talking about like high end, cool looking shit here, don't forget, you can do it yourself. There's so much stuff you can still do yourself, and don't discount that. Don't be your own worst enemy. Be your biggest champion.
It's better to get something out and get people playing your game than it is to just wait until it's perfect. Because none of our stuff's ever going to be perfect. We're human. Just make stuff, get people playing, and give people a good experience.
Yeah. Trust me, there's nothing worse than running your own game and seeing the typo as you're reading it and playing it. You're reading it to the people who are like playing it on Discord with you, and you're like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And they will. And you're like, oh, shit. But like,
and
like,
they will.
Nothing like proofreading it on the fly. So, I mean, you've been hitting the con scene. You're obviously on the road a lot.
But yes.
What's the temperature like out there for creators in the hobby right now? Like, other than,
I think for creators, I think we're all still very excited about what we're making. We're excited about the people that are excited, that want to play our games and want to try things. I was worried early in the year that shows like Gen Con, like that's the biggest show, might have a dip financially, but Gen Con there were people like that's their vacation. They were there spending money.
Awesome.
So I think it's good. There's still like lots of us, like I had a almost $10,000 tariff bill that I had to pay. Like there's lots of us that are still like hustling harder this year because we have to make up for what we couldn't expect and what we couldn't account for earlier in the year.
Bought a freaking car for $10,000 once.
Right?
It's crazy.
$9,666.45. I will never forget that number, I don't think.
The worst.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. Art is expensive. Like, and that's the thing too. Like, we talk about numbers a lot here on the show, but like there's so much more than just the price of what the physical product costs to make that's involved in the actual production and release of a product. So it's like, as I watch the price of things go up across the board, just like everything. Like your boy started shopping at like Lidl and Aldi, because like things are just so expensive, but like trying to stay at a place where you're able to be accessible to people, but not lose your shirt. It's kind of like trying to find a very sweet spot in 2025. Like if you look at something like even like the WWE, who now has priced their audience out of going to see live shows anymore with this crazy merger, which is like, wow, like the price of everything is going up. Now you are trying to be like, oh yeah, now we're going to charge like a lot more. Like how is it for you, trying to bring things at a price point in where people are still able to kind of get involved in it and not be like, oh my God, can I actually do this and eat a taco?
I think, one of the main things with that is making sure to have a digital version for because everybody falls on hard times at points in their life. And if they still want to at least be able to play, at least have a reasonably priced digital version or like I've got free versions of the rules and a couple of free adventures online as PDFs so that you don't have to pay money to play in my head.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I think is important because more than anything, most of us just want to sit around a table and play games together. So if we can give somebody that experience, hopefully then when times are better, they'll remember that experience and be like, you know what, I really wish had this zine on my shelf. I really wish I had the physical, tangible thing in my hands. And then, I'm in it for the long con, so I hope that it'll all pay off in the end.
It's sort of amazing how twisted people get about the digital copies of their games. Every time I see a crowdfunding campaign that has like the digital copy for the same price as the physical, I just want to shake somebody. You should really only be paying, asking people to pay for like labor. There's materials that drive up the physical media. Like you can't, why do you do that? You got to make those PDFs as accessible as possible for exactly the reasons you lay out.
And I've heard it from the other side too, Stu, like where people feel like they put the work into the book and the book, whether they print it or not, they've done the work for the digital version. So I've heard that argument, but I'm just of the other mindset.
Yeah, I'll never be able to get behind the high priced PDF argument.
Yeah.
It just seems like you're chasing that really high profit margin, right? I just can't. I make them cheap, people.
Right. Get people playing your game.
Yeah.
Like we always talk about, the more the merrier, and like, I don't want to price people out of being able to have a good time with their friends, especially because it's like going to a movie. Movie ticket like right now is like $17. So like you need to figure out a way to provide as much entertainment value for probably the cost of a movie ticket or less if you don't actually have to go to a movie or sit there and order popcorn and you have your own bathroom to fucking take a leak in, like you're
right.
$10 PDF, like whatever. Yeah, it's interesting, man. It's definitely like a wild thing to watch how all the screws turn and the different methodologies behind it. But you've been doing this for like what, 5-6 years?
The first Gen Con I attended as an artist was 2016. And then in June of 2017, I formed Creature Curation as an LLC. So.
All right. Yeah. So, I mean, you've been in about a decade, right? And we've definitely seen the ebb and the flow over the last decade in the hobby where I don't want to believe, and I don't want to say, because I don't think it's true, that we're in the bust era of the hobby. I think it's just not as robust as the boom, which was the pandemic, where everyone was just like, well, we're just going to keep throwing money at everything and buy everything we can.
Well, I mean, people had a lot more disposable income because they weren't going out and doing things.
Yeah.
So they had a lot more that they could spend money on, and they could play games online and over Zoom and over all that stuff a lot easier. So there were less things to do too. Yeah. So when you take away time and you take away money, then that's less that's, going to make believe.
Right. But I guess what I'm trying to get across to the listeners and the other creators who are listening is that it's not over yet, Johnny. Like,
oh, no. Certainly not.
It's just not as like, wow, no more Ferrari money, but you can still get a nice Mustang. It's there's crowdfunding campaigns launching every day in the tabletop space that are making tons of money. So no, it's not anywhere near close to being over. There's more and more people are getting introduced to the hobby each day, which means more people are sitting around a table with other people. So yeah, it can only grow because we keep having more babies. So yeah. So keep doing it, folks. Keep getting out there, keep hustling, keep grinding, keep making your dreams happen, keep your dreams alive, keep bringing your games to the table because someone's going to buy it.
Yep.
You'll get there. We're here to tell you that the sky is not in fact falling. It's just a little heavy rain, but you're going to get it. You're going to have some fun and people are going to love what you do. So stay creative, stay classy, stay cool. Yeah, so before we wrap it up with you, you do have a Kickstarter going on right now, right? And it is for Escaping Stasis for Vast Grimm. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So yeah, this launched as of the recording just a week and a day ago. By the time this launches, there will still be a couple of weeks left. It is because of the printer. I'm printing everything in zine format. I have updated the rules since Vast Grimm's now been around for about 4 years, at least the digital copy. There's a crew member manual, a network operator manual, and a threat registry, which pulls information from the original core book, has some modifications and some new things to it, but anything that's new is going to be available for free as a PDF in an upgrade toolkit. You can also buy the upgrade toolkit for $5 in a printed version, because I don't want anyone that has supported me in the past to feel obsolete and feel like what they bought does not work in gameplay anymore. So this is not like a 2.0 version that's just, there's some quality of life improvements and things that are going to make the game more fun. Along with that, there's a novella by John Baltusberger called Of Worms and Men, where there's actual fiction now being written for the Grimm dying universe. There's another adventure. There's a starter set, which has a A5 plus size box that's about the height and width of the Mouse Ritter box, but a little bit deeper. So it can hold previously printed hardcover books. It can hold a bunch of zines. Comes with character sheets and character generation sheets and starter adventure, the Flesh of My Flesh. I've got a couple other zines, and that box is being made in the U.S. The only things not being made in the U.S. is a battle binder that's specific to this Kickstarter, and my patches, my hex patches that get all put together in a honeycomb type fashion. If you've been along the ride for a bunch of my other projects, they all mash up together, and it's a lot at this point. But and the Kickstarter exclusive shirt, I've got a lot of things on here because I want to make this one a big one, and really try and get new people to get them infected and want playing Vast Grimm. So.
Yeah, man. I was saying to Shutter the other day, the Neon Lord Brian Shutter,
Yes.
dear listener, I was running Days of Future Fairhaven. I was running Hotel Extras at a convention, and I have a Trapper Keeper, like an old one, and I opened it up, and here is my little A5 book and this massive other thing, and I was like, I could see the allure. I could see the allure of the Battle Binder, which is allegedly in a similar shape and fashion.
Definitely inspired by
binders
of my youth.
Yeah. All right, very cool. So what day are you on Kickstarter till?
Through October 30th, 2025.
Very, very cool. Yeah, so this episode will be dropping about 2 weeks before this wraps up. If you were listening to this episode in October of 2025, if not, where can people find you on the internet, Brian?
The best place would probably be just to go to creaturecuration.com. And that's where all the stuff is. It's the stuff that I make, stuff that I'm now publishing for other people. And it has all the shows that I'll be at listed, because I think I hit maybe 12 or 13 conventions this year, and looks like I'm doing it again next year.
Life of the carny, you know?
Yes, indeed.
Well, Brian, it's been amazing chatting with you. Thanks for coming on and just, talking about the state of the hobby and saying some really cool and encouraging things to people who are slugging it out in the trenches, just like us.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. And if you're out there, you don't have to be better than anybody else. You just have to keep doing it. Just keep making it, and you will get the fans.
Hell yeah. So yeah, also talking to Brian. Always cool catching up with people. And while we're talking about the state of things, you want to mention WFMU, which is something that's close and near and dear to both of our hearts, but they need a little help.
Yeah, well, they need a little help all the time. They are, so FMU is our local freeform radio station. They play the weird stuff on the radio. You tune in, you're liable to hear something punk rock or something unusual, or maybe some harsh guttural screaming. It's sort of the radio station that you turn on and somebody else in the room goes, "What the heck is that?" And it's great. I've been listening to FMU since I was in high school, and I love it. I recently started doing fill-in shows with Games People Play with Sarah and me, and it's been really weird and fun, but super cool. But they are listener funded, so they do a big marathon fundraising drive in March. And then the money starts to run out in October when they do their annual Hellraiser, which is a quieter, less sort of a circus. This year, the Hellraiser is particularly important because they're not publicly funded, but they have for the last 20 years gotten about a $200,000 grant through the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. And that's gone. Because so is the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So they have a $200,000 shortfall this year that they haven't had in 20 years. So, the fundraising drive this time is a little bit more important. But it's still the usual. Like this is they're still good. I listened in on their board meeting, and which was really interesting.
Oh yeah, it's got to be.
And things are still. It's not we're not in terrible danger, but those extra funds are needed. So everybody's who has a show is sort of fundraising. There'll be a link in the notes that you can donate, and my show will get credit, which make that number go up. And there are some sweet T-shirts and a whole bunch of other different kind of in the March marathon. They have all sorts of DJ premiums and stuff. You can still get a lot of those. This is the last time you could get the 2025 DJ premiums. But for the Hellraiser specifically, if you donate $50, you get this sweet New Jersey Devil T-shirt, and if you donate $100, you can get you get your choice of 2 T-shirts, the Jersey Devil, and then there's this one from the 90s that's a reprint that's pretty cool too. If you donate $100, you get both, and that's basically it. They love sustaining people, so if you could find it, to donate $5 a month for the year, it's all tax deductible. You'll get a letter at the end of the year, so you can write it off on your taxes. You can listen to it online, so it's not even like it's like our local station. It's right to the next town over, but you can listen to it all over the world, and it's great. And it's an important part of our community. It has warped my brain since I started listening to it in the mid '90s. It's free form. It's community focused. It's just important. It's a great place with great people, and if you have a couple bucks that you could throw them, I would appreciate it. And the link is in the show notes.
Well, very cool. And other things that are happening right now, actually, literally while I'm recording this, Gary from Daiku Games hit me up mentioning that he's launching a Kickstarter next week for Bugbusters, which by the time this airs, that'll also be on the board. Bugbusters, you play scrappy working class exterminators protecting the planet from a secret alien invasion. If you learn more at daikugames.com/bugbusters. Gary's a sweet dude, had a massive out of the park sleeper hit with Fungashala. I don't even know how to say it. I've had him try to teach me a few times, but nothing stuck. But anyway, dude's a sweet dude, hosts a show where he interviews a lot of cool creators in the hobby. So we're always happy to tell you about cool things that are happening with some other people in the hobby. For me, one thing I definitely got to mention, because when you hear this episode tomorrow, Sickest Witch, our friend Justin Sorois from Severed Books made an amazing dark fantasy TTRPG called Sickest Witch. And we, as in my illustrious wife, Sally Canarino, Gio Colazzo, my creative partner, and myself are going to do the first third-party adventure for it. So it's launching on Kickstarter on February 14th, running through Halloween. It is called Under the Shadow of the Noonday Witch for Sickest Witch. It's definitely something worth checking out. Anywhere on my social media, you will find links to it. It's going to be really cool. Written by Gio and Sally, illustrated by Sally. It's going to be as cool and as weird and as dark as we talked about Sickest Witch getting when we had Justin on the show. So check that out on Kickstarter as well. Under the Shadow of the Noonday Witch. So this has been another amazing episode of the Vintage RPG Podcast. Stu, where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me on vintagerpg.com. I just finished writing all of the 2026 posts. It weighs in at 85,000 words.
Sweet baby.
It puts me over 1 million words written about role-playing games between the site and the book, and that's crazy. But if you go to the site right now, there is a big sidebar ad where you can see the awesome Jersey Devil t-shirt logo design for WFMU, and you can click that and donate in my name so I get credit, and I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep, and I will also put that across all my social media as well, and links in my stories with links with the mention Stu. It'll say the link. Donate and mention Stu.
There's a specific link. It's like the donate with a /GP at the end, and that will make sure that the monies are credited to games people play.
Listen, we gotta keep supporting the weird stuff, and even if you ever tune in and it's just primal screaming, just wait a little longer. Your song will come up.
Yeah, there's great stuff on there.
There really is, man.
You see, the thing about radio is that it's not supposed to just be like the hits. You're supposed to learn stuff. And if you listen to FMU, you definitely learn stuff.
Yeah, man. Having grown up on like terrestrial radio, New York radio, rock and roll radio, like you only heard so much, and most of it was hits. I mean, up in like the 80s and the early 90s, you would still hear deep cuts. But once it hit a certain point where in the dying days of terrestrial radio, you'd only hear hits. So it's constant Led Zeppelin. Well, nothing wrong with Led Zeppelin, but there are other tracks other than Immigrant Song, Stairway to Heaven, and Black Dog. But yeah, check it out. Donate, support public stuff that is weird. Do weird art with your friends. You can find me across the internet at John McGuire RPG. I'm actually posting more. I've actually kind of talked to my therapist about it and figured out a nice healthy balance for myself on social media. So I'm actually on there every day and I'm posting at John McGuire RPG. Click the link to back and support our Kickstarter for Under the Shadow of the Noonday Witch, a third-party adventure for Sickest Witch. If you like the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe. Your reviews really do help other listeners to find us. And if you really like the show, why not become a patron? Patreon.com/VintageRPG. We have a $1 tier where as little as $1 a month will get you early release episodes sometime between Friday and Sunday morning, depending on when we record them in the week. We have 2 tiers to game with Stu and I. The first one's the $5 tier to play a game with me. I put up a game every month, usually something that we talk about on the show. Whoever wants to show up for that can sign up and play. But I do have an ongoing campaign for 1-900 Fantasy. You literally are a kid in the late 80s, early 90s at your parents' kitchen table. You're calling in one of those chat phone lines and you're pressing buttons on the thing and you're playing a correspondence adventure by email with your old buddy HB. About every week and a half to 2 weeks, we do an update for it because I kind of like to let everyone have a chance to check their email and put in what they want to do next. But we're going on like 5 or 6 weeks at this point. They just entered the dungeon, so it's about to get real cool. So at the $5 tier, join my 1-900 Fantasy campaign. At the $10 tier, you can play in my games, and you could join Stu's legendary West Marches campaign. It is so deadly. It's been going on almost 3 years. And also on our Patreon, one thing I just want to mention again, because I think it's awesome. You're doing the weekly watch along for Millennium, right?
Yeah.
Friggin' awesome.
I love that show, man. And yeah, it was just like we've talked about it so much in the Discord that it was just like, well, let's just like watch it. So, and it's been great. It's so 90s, so dark. So yeah, it's a real downer to start your week watching Millennium on Monday night. There's a reason why they aired it on Fridays back in the day, because you were going into the weekend and you're a little higher than you are. We watch it on Mondays because it's 2025.
Yeah, we're adults. Do what we want.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think I covered all the bases. So patreon.com/vintagerpg. Everyone have a good week. Be nice to yourselves. Drink lots of water. Get some sleeps.
Yeah.
Eat some pie. Pie is good. So for Stu Horvath, I'm John Hambone McGuire. May the dice always roll in your favor. Thanks for listening. The Vintage RPG Podcast is a ham-fisted production. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Schaefer Brown. Edited by R. Alex Murray. Check us out at vintagerpg.com.